that I stand behind wholeheartedly, and this is physical health is the start to mental health.
Yes.
For those of you out there who are struggling, who are maybe overweight or maybe you're underweight, who knows, doesn't matter. If you're having a hard time and you're wanting to give up, try this. Promise yourself this first, at least. Get a 6-pack.
Mm-hmm.
And then see if you still want to do it. I swear,
seriously,
I swear to God.
I know.
The equilibrium. Got it.
Oh, maybe I
Too
have
slow.
seen that.
Yeah.
If you walk into a room, I'll give you a really good...
Dress for success.
Don't ever say that again. Dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
You know, I told her if I can't have my mullet, it's not even worth living.
Binky bobbed out the game.
Binky bobbed out the game. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome to the 2A Procast.
2A Procast.
So, today we are going to be discussing...
a lot of things. Specifically, we're going to be talking about physical fitness. We're going to be talking about mental health, stoicism, and just kind of...
And how they all weave together.
Yeah. How they all combine, mind, body, and spirit.
This is my copy of the Daily Stoic. We may be referencing it today.
I thought that was upside down for a second.
Negative. Let's get to it. Let's dive right into it. For those of you that don't know about the 2A Procast, what we do here is we try to bring everybody together in the Second Amendment community and talk about everything related to training, exercising our Second Amendment, just becoming better humans in general, and a little bit dive a little bit into the business aspect of owning a Second Amendment company.
Yeah, kind of lifting the veil on everything. Behind the scenes a little bit.
Absolutely. If you guys are not part of the Discord group, get in there. It is on fire right now. What are you doing with your life?
Yeah, what are you doing with your life?
It's really cool. And I think the one thing that probably prompted you to do this, we've been talking about mental health in the Discord group quite a bit. The moderators got together and say, hey, there's some of these guys in here who are struggling with a few things. Can we open up a channel? I did so yesterday where we opened up a category in a channel that people can actually go to and start talking about some things, because it is of my experience that sometimes... Obviously, the words that we say to each other, it could be the last thing that you say to somebody that could give them another day, right? On this earth. I mean, it's just sometimes people don't want to be heard. Loneliness, right?
Yeah.
Loneliness, feeling not heard. If we go into the whole mass shooter thing, they feel not heard.
That's why
I'm not sitting here sympathizing with these guys, but they write these manifestos because they know if I do something absolutely fucking tragic, which is what they do, and I write it down on a paper and the news covers it, everybody will see me because I'm unheard and I'm unseen.
Right. Again, with that, they made their decision and they did an atrocity, and they'll burn forever for it, I believe. But
of course,
you know, it's one of those things that it's like what prompted them to do this was that they, like you said, they were not heard. They were separated. They were ostracized, or they were just, you know, sulking in that depravity and unable to get out of it.
Have you gone through and seen some of the family history of some of these guys that are doing this?
Yeah.
The lack of family that they have, the lack of support that they have. I mean, that's really where it stems from. I mean, if we've the attack on the nuclear family in the United States, right? And then just the fundamental attack. I know that's probably not one of the podcast topics, but it's like the attack of the nuclear family in the United States is generally what is prompting guys to go out there and, so the attack of the nuclear family prevents people from thinking that they deserve or should pursue the, just your traditional, familial environment and the roles that we play as men and women in our society. If that is under attack and if that is not being addressed and that is falling away, so does the support for a young man or woman to grow up and be and live up to their full potential. So,
what's nuts is like talking about the nuclear family here is how like you were saying, the roles of men and women, right? These have been established over thousands of years as our society has grown. And then all of a sudden within the past 10
decade. Yeah.
Yeah. Within the past decade, it's all of a sudden like, no, everything that you kind of established as what you are to be a man or as what you are to be a woman is just, no, we don't do that here anymore.
Right.
And that's detrimental.
It is. And so you're getting children that are growing up in households that are not giving them the nurture, the education, the discipline that they need, and they're not feeling heard.
Right.
And when they're not feeling heard, they do extraordinary things that, you know, either to themselves or to other people so that they are heard.
Well,
right? They either
just,
end their own life or they're ending other people's life. And that's where we're at right now. It's a mental health issue. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Now, people out there, they want to blame the guns.
Right.
They want to blame the tool. And I've said so before, spoons don't make you fucking fat. Firearms don't kill you. People kill you.
Right.
They will find a way to kill you.
Whether it's a box truck or an explosive.
Yeah, it could be a knife. And here's the thing, right? Getting into that a little bit is get rid of guns. And that could be, like, let's say in a perfect world that we got rid of all the guns. What's next on the agenda? Well, hands, bombs, knives. Right?
Free will.
Check this out. That losing the ability to defend yourself with a firearm, like take all that out of it, take all the guns away. Now they've got to find another way to, you know, unalive. I don't want to get banned on whatever platform we're on, but the most amount of people possible. So
forever sleep.
Right. So what's going to happen is they're going to find that way.
Right.
And they'll be like, well, if I can't easily go in, because most people can easily go in and pick up a firearm, then I will spend the time that it takes to build, you know, the B word. Right.
So
big boom or whatever is going to cause the most damage. Is that really what we want? Because that's what's happening in other nations. England, like there's not a lot of bombs that go off in the United States.
Right.
Right. For all intents and purposes, it's usually firearms, right? And they'll be like, well, yeah, nobody's getting killed with firearms over in Europe because firearms aren't allowed in Europe. Yeah, but guess what they are doing? They're bombing fucking train stations. They're bombing buses. These are the things that you find when you take the firearms away. You're getting more casualties, a more significant event.
Yeah,
what do you think about that?
Look at it this way. You take away the guns, right? Because fear of people dying, right? You're so afraid of people getting injured or people causing harm to other people. You take away that. Well, you said, what's the next step, right? I don't know. Have you ever seen the movie The Giver? Or what's the one with Christian Bale where he's the priest and he does all the sweet gun fu?
I have no idea.
Come on. Equilibrium. Got it.
Oh, maybe I have seen that.
So the movie Equilibrium, it's that concept, right?
Yep.
When I said take away hands and free will, that's the next step, right? If you are willing to give up your ability to protect yourself, and you have these people in positions of power who are saying, oh, well, it's for the greater good.
Right.
Well, the more free will you start to give up, it's going to end up in a situation like that. I don't know, conspiracy theory time. I don't know if it's going to end up in a situation like Equilibrium where everybody takes a pill to suppress all of their emotions so everybody's bland and then there's no violence ever. But that's honestly where that road leads.
Yeah.
You take away somebody's free will, you take away their ability to protect themselves, and what are you willing to give up for the idea of safety or protection?
Yeah, and shooting that back to like mental health and how it stems from obviously it's the war on the nuclear family. It is it's kids not getting the proper discipline, the proper instruction, the proper guidance as they grow, and then they commit these atrocities. But it's also, if you take that out of the element and you're talking about suicide, and then you get all these guys using the statistics of firearms against the Second Amendment when they're just the easiest tool to actually commit suicide. The self-inflicted gunshot deaths are far exceed.
It's close to, I want to say, somebody commented, said 63%. I'm not sure if that's correct. I think it's closer to like 45%.
Yeah.
Which is the self-inflicted suicide death or firearm death. And, cutting back just briefly for that 1 second, like you've got kids when they don't feel like they're heard, they lash out.
Yeah.
They do stuff they're not supposed to. But, the twisting of firearms related deaths is 54%.
54% of firearm-related deaths are self-inflicted.
Yeah.
So that goes into mental health. I've myself struggled with mental health before. I don't know. I'm hard-pressed to meet anybody, if they're being honest.
Right.
Who hasn't struggled with some level of mental health. I think that, moving through, especially in this day and age, anxiety, depression, are you good enough? Are you not? Right. Dealing with trauma from the past, dealing with trauma from your childhood or combat or a significant event that you may have gone through.
Right.
I mean, these are all things that when you feel alone and you can't find a way out, then it causes depression. So my thought on like, here's what my personal, when I take a deep dive and I look inside myself and I say, okay, like, well, why was I depressed in these times? Well, I was depressed because I felt like there was no way out. It was kind of a hopelessness.
You're stuck.
That I felt, right? I felt anxiety when I felt like I didn't know what to do, but there were options, right? So that was kind of the difference between anxiety and depression for me, and I've gone through both.
Yeah.
It was the hopelessness of not having options, and then anxiety was almost too many fucking options, right? Too many things happening, spiking anxiety. So, you know, I had a, you know, getting into my own story a little bit with mental health was, and how I overcame it. I can only speak from my experience and what I've gone through, but, you know, my childhood was, it was not good. You know what I mean? There was a lot of neglect and a lot of abuse until I was adopted, and then I was adopted into a good family, but that was close to 7 years old. And by that time it was really too late. The damage had significantly been done.
It'd been stuck.
Yeah. So there was that I was dealing with. And then I went to combat, and I was, you know, and then I came back and I had PTSD, and I was medicating myself with alcohol, which made it fucking worse, and it only exacerbated it. Now I put it in my body and it made everything okay, seemingly, but the issues were still there when, you know, I got, you know, when I sobered up.
Yeah.
And so the less I wanted to feel like that, the more I drank.
Right.
Right. And so I find that the same thing with medication. Now, I'm not sitting here advocating for people to stop taking medication.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what worked for me. And I've gone through the whole litany of medication for depression and anxiety, you know, including self-medicating with alcohol. I've done the prescription thing. I've done the alcohol thing. I've tried weed. I've tried all of it. And I'm not saying if it works for you, I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to prescribe anything.
Right.
But I will tell you from firsthand experience that until I got sober from the fucking neck up and actually like stopped taking everything, right? Because I would take prescribed drugs just long enough to feel okay, think I was okay, stop working on myself, stop dealing with the PTSD, stop dealing with the trauma that I had in my life. And when I wasn't addressing it and I felt like I was okay, that was the beginning of the end. And then the cycle started over again. And then I started drinking again. And then I ruined relationships again. And then the whole thing just kind of like
the cycle continued.
The cycle continued. So my only way out of that was to get completely honest with who I was, understand who I was, get honest about it, and find people who had gone through similar events that I did. I can tell you right now that I went through like 10 to 15 years of some type of therapy and or medication. And in 15 minutes sitting down and talking to somebody who had gone through a very similar thing that I had gone through and that I could identify with, and they had found a way out, it changed the entire perspective for me. It changed my life. So 10 to 15 years of medication and therapy was overridden and excused and trumped by 15 minutes of identifying with another human being.
Right.
That connection that I built with somebody that had gone through the same thing was more powerful than any of that. And that's why, especially in that Discord group that we're talking about, that's why we created the channel, because look, some people just want to fucking listen, right? Some people just want to be heard.
Yeah.
And all it takes is like you being able to post something and getting something as small as a fucking heart or a like emoji on it just to know.
Or dude, I am right there with you.
I'm right there with you, or I'm praying for you. Heard. Understand it, right? And you know that your voice is being fucking heard. And I'm not advocating for getting out there and spilling your guts on social media just so you can get a couple of likes. That is not what we're doing here. What I'm saying is, if you can be there for somebody, if you could just even give them the time of day enough to just, if you see a social media post and something is off and you can tell they're not okay, and you have their phone number, shooting a text like, hey man, I'm thinking about you, I hope everything is okay, right? That could be the difference between their last day and not their last day.
It's very true.
You just never know, because there have been times in my life where I've genuinely wanted to not be here anymore. And I've thought about ways where I could get myself just not here anymore, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And, you know, all it took was just, you know, some subtle sign around me. You know, thank God I had a network of people who cared about me to go, you know what, that may not be the best idea today. So yeah, it's a serious fucking thing. I mean, if we want to solve the gun problem, we need to solve like the gun problem. I say in quotations, if that problem needs to be solved, then we need to get to the root of it, which is, why the fuck are we killing each other in the first place? Why are people killing themselves in the first place? And everybody can be a part of it. This is not something that has to start from the top down. The government doesn't have to put programs in place to allow us the freedom to stop killing each other and ourselves.
Right.
It starts with us being able to be good humans and interact with one another in such a way that doesn't make people want to fucking kill themselves or other people.
Well,
right?
I feel like a big part of that is through social media and through how the internet has developed as is, we have separated ourselves so much. And it's, you know, you don't want to pry into other people's business anymore. And I'm not talking about prying, but like asking your friends if they're good. Right? Like legitimately looking them in their eye and not being politically correct or not being polite and just being like, dude, you're off. Are you okay?
Yeah.
A lot of people can't have that conversation anymore.
Right.
Because it's uncomfortable. People don't want to do that. Why would you do that when, you know, you can just pretend they're okay?
I think this world needs more honesty.
Oh, absolutely.
I think we need to start fucking offending people properly.
Yes, properly. And that's the important part.
Because the most significant growth in my life has come on the other side of some of the hardest conversations that I've had to have with people.
Absolutely.
It's just the nature of the way it is.
Yep.
The thing that you don't want to do is the thing you need to fucking do, right?
Yes.
You see where I'm going? The thing that you know the thing you don't want to take to be a part of, the thing you know is going to be a total mountain to fucking climb. Those are the things that need to be done.
Right.
Right? Nobody's thinking like, man, I have to kill these 3 bottles of Jack and I really don't want to, right?
That's true.
It's just the thought process is, I know I shouldn't be drinking these 3 bottles of Jack, but I can't. I have to drink them.
Right.
I have to because I don't want to fucking feel like this anymore.
I don't want to
But
feel,
you know deep down in your heart you shouldn't fucking do it. The most difficult thing, but that shit's not easy. The easy thing to do is just to get fucking loaded and forget about it.
Right.
Right. That's
to drink away the pain.
It's a very, very simple solution for somebody that's going through something very, very difficult. So we have to hold each other accountable.
Absolutely.
If I had, and I'm not blaming this on anybody but myself, but I know that if I wasn't in the environment that I was in and I had better fucking friends and people around me, I probably would have started getting better sooner because I didn't start getting better until I married my fucking wife.
You are who you hang around.
That's it.
Yeah.
I would probably be dead had I not got married to that woman.
Right.
Straight up. Because she was a normal human being. See, I put myself around people in my life who were validating my behavior. They were validating things. They were getting involved in all the same shit that I was doing. And I made sure that the people that I kicked it around, those guys were doing it worse than me. Because I could look around and be like, man, yeah, I got drunk, but I didn't get drunk, crash my car, and do like a family like you did. Cool, move on to the next friend, right? So it's like, and I'm just giving a hypothetical that didn't actually happen, but it was like, well, this guy, you know, he gets so drunk that he pukes at the fucking bathroom at the bar. I don't puke at the bathroom at the bar. I wait till I get home to wet the bed.
I'm okay.
You know what I mean? Like, so
I don't have a problem.
I don't have a fucking problem. So as long as I set the fucking benchmark of the people that I was around, I never got better. I married my wife. She's a normal human being, right?
Yeah.
Very normal. Family values. A good person. And when she looked at me and my behavior and what I was, because her and I didn't live together until we got married, she was like, who the fuck are you? And what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Right? But she was direct. She wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to stick this out and hope he gets better. No, she was like, hey, fix your shit, dude.
Yeah, this isn't okay.
This isn't okay. Right? If you have PTSD from, deal with it. You got PTSD from your fucking childhood, deal with it. Because I didn't sign up for that shit and your kids need better. Right? I want my kids to look up for me, to me. I want my children to look up to me. I want to be able to establish a relationship where they're like, I want to be like my dad. I respect him and that's where I want to go. And I want my wife to be proud of the man that she's with. And I think if we just take that simple benchmark and understand that if we are making the changes for that purpose, right? And you got to get sober for yourself. Right. And there's this whole other fucking thing around it. Like she could not wish me into sobriety. She could not wish me into not being depressed, but she was able to have some very direct, honest conversations with me, which is exactly what you just said, which is like what we were talking about.
Yeah. You gotta be honest, be straight, be straightforward.
Hurt some fucking feelings. Say, I care about you. Knock that shit off.
Right.
Good friends will do that. Good people around you will hold you accountable. And that's what we're trying to do with this company, with 2A Pro, with 2A Procast, with Discord.
Yeah.
Right. that's the whole purpose of these groups and communities is when a guy pops in there, if it has nothing to do with mental health, and be like, what do you think about this? And it's like a red rifle.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I think you painting your rifle red is fucking stupid.
Right.
Right? And that's just my opinion. If you like it, that's cool, but I think it takes away from what that rifle is intended for.
Right.
Rifles are not meant to be cool. They're meant as a tool.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's a tool for self-defense. And dude, I'm hard.
Not
I'm
for
hard pressed
cool. Meant for tool.
Meant for tool. Yeah. So,
yeah.
You know, and that's not something that's going to save somebody's life by saying that. But if that type of honesty was had, we just don't need a bunch of fucking yes men around us. And the most dangerous place that anybody can be is in a position of leadership where
they're surrounded by yes
people who just want them to fucking hear what they want to hear.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why I can appreciate, I make it very clear all the time to the leadership in this company that, like, be hard on me, right? Tell me the stuff I don't want to hear. Be honest with me, right? Don't be intimidated. I need to be able to fucking learn. Otherwise, I'm going to be going down the same path I was before.
All do.
Right.
And that's the thing. And so diving in on continue.
The starting point for mental health, and a great starting point that anybody can literally get started on today. If you're not feeling good, if you feel lethargic, if you feel depressed, if you feel anxious, speaking from experience. I was 234 fucking pounds, drunk, nearly dead, fatty liver, ended up in the hospital.
Boom.
Right? To almost 240 pounds, I think I got to at one point. Right? Beginning stages of cirrhosis. It was essentially a death sentence should I continue on the path that I was going. The only thing that initially changed wasn't even sobriety at that point. It was physical fitness.
Huge.
That's all it was. It was my fucking health. It was the shit that I was putting in my body or not putting in my body, which was even more important, right? And at this point, I didn't even fully get sober and transition into sobriety at that point. I was just like, fuck this. I'm tired of being fucking fat. I'm tired of looking fucking fat. I'm tired of feeling like this. I'm tired of not having any energy. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat better. It doesn't mean I have to eat perfect. I don't need to portion my fucking meals and have like 2 cups brown rice, 3 cups broccoli,
34 ounces.
It just means don't eat a bag of salt and vinegar fucking chips every night.
Yeah.
Like,
don't eat the pint of ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get 3 Big Macs.
Right.
Maybe just get 1. And don't do it every day. Do it once a week. You don't have to start with... don't go to the gym for 3 hours.
Right.
Go to the gym for 20 minutes and just work out really fucking hard.
Yeah.
Dude, 30 minutes is like 2% of your day. I think. Yeah. If I'm doing the math right.
Yeah. 20 minutes is 1% of your day.
20 minutes is like 1% of your fucking day.
I can fully attribute where I am today as a human being to my growth in physical exercise. So a little backstory for me, when I was 11, my eldest brother died, my hero, right? And that completely wrecked my family. My mom went into this, depressed isolation. Her firstborn just died. My dad was at work, and my brothers decided, hey, now is a good time to start doing drugs. And so it completely split the family. And me being 11, this isn't a pity party. I had to take care of my mom. I had to go to school, and I had to keep on a good face because she would have panic attacks every single day. So if I was having panic attacks and I was crying or I was dealing with it, I couldn't do that. I had to put on a face for my mom. Right. So that's how I got really good at lying. Fun fact. Thanks, Mom. And this isn't anything against her. She's my best friend. Yeah, she lost her son. Yeah,
I can't.
But that is what drove me to even harder into my martial arts training.
Right.
And if I didn't have that as a child, I don't think I'd be here right now.
Right.
I was able to take my anger, my sadness, my depression, my confusion, and dump it into something else.
Right.
I was able to dump that into just going as hard as I can and pushing myself in some way that is bettering myself. It wasn't something that was, I'm sitting behind a computer playing a video game for 13 hours a day and, typing on social media. No. I was out there moving. I was learning to be a better person. And thankfully, my martial arts instructor pushed mind, body, and spirit so hard And it wasn't just, hey, come here, learn some karate, and then go home. It was you're developing your spirit, right? You're developing your body to hone your mind to create the core of a person that is going to be a steadfast rock.
I think there's something to be said that we all look in the mirror.
Right.
And if you look in the mirror at your physical state and you don't like what you see, it's very difficult to then go on the inside, right? Mm-hmm. And also not like what you see.
100%.
So the easiest place to start, you can have complete body transformation. I've seen incredible body transformation in a matter of months. The mental health part of it takes a lot longer.
It does.
It takes a lot longer. Learning how to live a new life, learning how to react to situations outside of your control, how to behave in society, and how to handle difficult tasks that come your way, take a fuck ton of time. So start with the physical part, because if you've got energy, like, look, I've never, it's very rare. I can't ever think of a time where I immediately got done working out and I was just mad. Right. I was just like, fuck the world. Never. I get done working out and I'm fucking happy. It at least gives me like an hour of like, I'm not gonna kill somebody in a road rage incident on the way home. Right. Right.
I'm not gonna all of a sudden yeet my car into this tree.
For example, I have been driving to the gym and wanting to end some lives.
Yeah.
You know, but I've never left the gym homicidal.
Yeah.
So it's incredible what it does to your endorphins. And
well, it scientifically releases I can't remember, but the happy endorphin.
Serotonin?
Serotonin, yes.
Yeah. It's an incredible thing of what it does. And the more you work out, the more energy you have, because the better you sleep.
Yep.
And that's why I was like, well, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep without alcohol. And people are like, I can't sleep without smoking weed. I was like, have you tried to exhaust yourself?
Have you tried exercising?
Yeah. Have you attempted that?
No.
Because I'm telling you, like, it solves most problems.
Right.
Right? It really does. I'm like, I can't sleep. Go work out until you fucking can't move anymore.
Right.
You will sleep and you will stay asleep. I had those issues too.
So I mean, on that, with that tying into mental health, there is one thing that I stand behind wholeheartedly, and this is physical health is the start to mental health.
Yes.
For those of you out there who are struggling, who are maybe overweight or maybe you're underweight, who knows, doesn't matter. If you're having a hard time and you're wanting to give up, try this. Promise yourself this first, at least. Get a 6-pack. Mm-hmm. And then see if you still want to do it. I swear, I swear to God.
I know.
The challenge and the hurdle that it takes to build a good 6-pack and that it takes to develop that core strength and the time and the dedication, something's going to change along that way.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to look better. It's going to be leagues and leagues of better. But the question is, how do you get there? Right?
Yeah.
Now, this is what I do. Might work for you, might not. I like to break the world down into black and whites a lot. Mm-hmm. There's a whole lot of gray area, but I try and break my world down into questions of yes or no. Mm-hmm. Like Yoda, right? Do or do not, there is no try. And so what I'll do is I look at it and go, do I want to work out? No. Do I want to be fit? Yes. Do I want to look good? Yes. Do I want to feel sore? No. Well, does my end goal meet what I'm doing?
Right.
And then I go, nope, my end goal's over here. I got to make some sacrifices.
Yeah.
So go to the gym.
Yep.
And so how do you start that? You just do it.
Yeah.
It literally is that. There is no getting of the motivation.
Yeah.
There is no building up the courage to do it. It is just doing it.
And weaving this into the Second Amendment a little bit.
Right.
Everybody goes out and trains. Oh, I'm a badass. I can change mags. I'm highly accurate with my rifle. I can do this. I think it's fair to say, and that we can all understand, that if you were ever in a scenario where you needed to defend yourself with a firearm, enemies foreign, domestic, enemies government related or not government related, you are going to be moving. You are going to need the stamina to be able to push through whatever event that you happen to be in. And so even if your reason isn't just for feeling better, looking better, not wanting to end your life, and it's for, I want to be a better American.
Yeah.
in general, right? And I want to be able to defend my family and make it outside of yourself and say, I will be able to defend my family better if I'm more physically fit.
A warrior in a garden.
That's right. So do it, right? So do it for those purposes. You know, you see plenty of dudes out there that, yeah, you're a great shot, man, but I guarantee you sprint 50 yards, you're not going to be able to do a goddamn thing.
It's over, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm happy you brought that up. If a starting point is hard for you to do for yourself,
right,
do it for somebody else.
Yeah.
Do it for someone you love, whether it's your kids, your wife, your mom, whoever.
There's the adage that says, you know, you can't get, you know, sober for somebody else. You got to want it. And I agree with that. But damn it, man, like I also disagree with that because if it weren't for my wife wanting to be sober, I wouldn't even considered it. I would have gone down the path that I was going down until I died.
Right.
I didn't even know there was like an alternative of living until I found the alternative way of living.
Right.
I didn't know what I didn't know. I thought this is just how people lived.
You thought it was it, yeah.
Dude, I'll tell you a story about how one morning when I woke up, because I had to go to court for I don't know, a fucking DUI or something,
Trash.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I woke up one morning and the reason why I'm saying this is not to turn people off, dude. It's who I fucking am. And so I'm going to own it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell my story. And if people don't like that, I just don't do it anymore, right? Then I'm sorry for you and go find a guy that's, you know, been totally perfect and unscathed his entire
sin, cast the first stone.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I was living in this little shithole apartment, and I remember I would stay up, you know, until 5 o'clock in the morning, and I drink myself to death, and then I wake up and fucking 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I remember I had to wake up because I had to go to court at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Sounds like my LA bar days, dude.
Yeah, right. And I remember going outside my apartment, walking outside my apartment to my car, right? And seeing it, this was 7 o'clock in the morning. And I couldn't believe that there were so many people awake. I was like, holy shit. Like, everybody is out doing something right now. I just thought the world didn't fucking turn on until I woke up. I was like, I couldn't believe that. I mean, that's just selfish, self-centered to the fucking max, dude. Like, I couldn't believe that society was actually operating. And you know what I was thinking? My first thought when I woke up, the reason why I said I thought the entire world operated the way I did, and I just didn't even know that it existed in another way. And this was after being in the military, after waking up at fucking 5 a.m. for fucking formation and then running 6 miles. I just thought like, well, yeah, the Army does it. And they used to tell you shit like this, right? You'll do more before 9 o'clock in first formation than anybody else will do in a goddamn week, right?
Yeah.
So I just thought that's the way it operated. So I was like, sweet, I'll go back to being a civilian and I'll wake up at fucking 10 o'clock every day, right? That's what everybody else is saying. Anyway, so getting back to this, I'm thinking, man, all these people must be really hungover. How do they all wake up this early after drinking all night, right? Like, how do they, they function? How do they drink all night and then go to work?
Right. How do they do that?
That's how fucked my brain was, man. That's what I was thinking. The reality is they weren't doing that.
Right.
They were just being
humans.
They were just being normal human beings. But my mind I couldn't wrap myself around the fact that people were just living productive lives around me. And I was the very few, or maybe not very few, there's probably way more out there like me that weren't doing that.
Right.
And so I had this delusion that I guess going back to the point of I wouldn't have known until my wife was like, look, like people don't act like this. Don't fucking act like this.
Right.
I need a husband. I don't need whatever the fuck this is.
Right.
You know? And, you know, she wasn't soft about it. She said, figure your shit out or I'm out.
Right.
Right?
People need
but
that
I'll give you the
sometimes,
opportunity to do it.
Right.
You know? I can tell you that that's what prompted the journey, but what solidified my commitment to being a better human was the commitment that I gave to myself.
Right.
I was in so much pain as price to admission. I was in so much pain from being the human that I was, right? And in so much pain for putting other people through all the pain that I was putting them through that I had to change, right? The thoughts, I firmly believe that alcohol for a long period of time in my life kept me alive. And I know it sounds crazy, but when I wouldn't drink, those are the times that I thought about ending my life.
Right.
The times that I genuinely didn't want to be here anymore were the times that I was sober and I had no fucking way out. And then I would drink and I'd feel okay. And I was like, okay, this is it. All I need to do is just grab a bottle. I'll be fine.
Yeah, if I drink, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, like cool. You know, it's just this instant fucking relief and it numbed me out, right?
Yeah.
The second I stopped, it was like, oh God, no, I need to do it again. So alcohol very well could have kept me alive for a long period of time.
Yeah.
But the pain of being intoxicated on a regular basis and hurting people around me and not being a productive member and just being selfish was so great that I was like, fuck this, fuck me. I need to do something about this because I can't handle it anymore internally.
Right. Selfishness, in my opinion, is a huge reason for a mental health problem, as well as jumping on the sobriety train, the drug problem. I've spent a lot of time, and this is my personal opinion, so don't crucify me for it. I don't care. I believe selfishness is the root cause of addiction. And let me explain that. And this will explain.
You don't, I explain it for the audience, but I can tell you right now, after, over a decade in recovery, you nailed it. And you're not in recovery. Yeah. You're absolutely right. It is. That is the core, fundamental root cause of any alcoholic, drug addict. It is selfishness.
Yep. And so I came to this conclusion because of my brothers in the program, because of them dealing with their heroin and their meth and all the heinous things that they were doing, stealing from people, all this. And I was examining it. They would go to the program. They would learn. They would be like, oh, I got to work the program or I won't do it. I have this disease. And I kept looking at it and going, they use the drug as a demon or whatever it may be, whether it's mental health, whether it's no fitness, whether it's their self-depravity, whatever it is, they use that as the demon and they say, I need to beat that demon, right? They put it externally rather than looking internally.
Yeah,
and they
nailed it.
And the only time that my brother Jordan was able to get sober, the only time that he was able to keep his sobriety was when he said, I am being a piece of shit.
Oh, yeah.
I have to stop this for other people. And what's crazy is jumping into that again of you can't get sober for other people. The only time he was able to, just like you, is I have kids and I have to do this for them.
Yeah.
And I think that's incredibly important to find those people in your life to start that process.
Yeah.
Right? Do it for yourself, obviously. But selflessness will always be stronger and a larger drive than selfishness.
Yeah. Yeah, you are a product of the people that you hang around. You're the sum of the closest five, and we've all heard that before.
Yeah, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, and that going along exactly with what you said that people are taking a drug and going, I did this because of meth. I did this because of alcohol. I did this because of... No.
You did it because you wanted it.
Is incorrect.
Right.
The answer, if we could sum it all up into everything that we've been talking about, into one sentence is, alcohol is the solution. I am the problem.
Correct.
Alcohol fixed it. I broke it.
Right.
Right? I used that to make me feel better.
Right.
But I feel like shit because of me, because the things that I was doing in my own self-worth based on my self-worth based on the fact that I wasn't giving to other people. I wasn't being selfless. I wasn't doing anything outside of what I wanted to do, but for me, right? And you'll find it in all the great business minds out there, right? I've taken a lot of the courses, read a lot of the books, and it's got one theme woven through every single one of these leaders. The more you give away, the more you get. All of them. And that doesn't mean like, oh, I make a bunch of money for me and I give a little bit away for to a foundation. It means that like good leaders in most businesses say, I'm going to take care of my employees. Right. I'm going to make sure that they're trained, that they're taken care of. I'm going to put their interests above my own.
Yeah.
And when you do that, what happens is not only does it feel great knowing that you're taking care of people, but then they in return take care of you and your business grows.
Right.
Right. It's this cycle of like taking care of people and putting people before yourself. And then it all comes out in the wash to benefit you anyway.
Right.
So ultimately, if you really wanted to be selfish and that was the ultimate goal, then be selfless and then things will come to you.
Yeah. The karmic wheel.
It really is.
Yeah.
It will all happen anyway. So
right. And by the way, for those listening thinking you found a loophole, you can't do a selfless act in a selfish manner to get good things in return.
That's not the way it works.
That doesn't work.
Yeah, you genuinely have to
do it from a place of selflessness and goodness from the heart.
Yeah.
And everybody's capable of it.
So it is the definition of, what's the word that I'm looking for? There is a word. It is a good word.
Equilibrium.
Equilibrium. It is, it eludes me right now, but it is synonymous with selflessness, and I will think about it, and it will come to me.
It will come.
It will come.
It comes.
The definition of selflessness is genuinely to do things for somebody else without expecting anything in return.
Yep.
Right? Altruism. That's the word. So to live an altruistic life, you are leading a life that is for others without expecting anything in return for yourself. But by default, based on the information, the data that I have, myself and the mentors that I have, by giving more away, you get more.
Right.
Period.
Yep.
So if you're worried that I'm just going to deplete all of my fucking resources, you will never deplete your resources. It is a limitless load that the more you give, the more you get. It is a fact. And it feels better than anything.
Yep.
It feels better when people, I mean, there's at least once a week, somebody in some way, shape, or form will thank me in the company for doing something that I did.
Yeah.
Right. And
they
saying, thank you for
X
this opportunity, or thank you for this. And I'm really grateful to have this opportunity for this. Right. And that means more to me than any amount of money coming in, than anything else. It just makes me feel alive. It makes me feel like I'm fucking doing something important.
It does,
with my life, man.
Yeah.
It gives me purpose.
Right.
And I think a sense of purpose is a lot of it is most certainly one of the things that leads to depression and anxiety, is not having a sense of purpose, not genuinely connecting. I was almost depressed until we decided what the mission was for this company, right? I was kind of like, take it or leave it with the business. I'm like, I just want to make like good things at a good price, and then everybody will get it. But what is the underlying meaning behind that we're doing here?
So much more.
It's just, I'm not going to get into it here, but there's so much more that we do. There's so much more of a purpose that drives what we do around here, that is meaningful. And it is because of that not only are we able to make decisions super quickly around here, preventing anxiety, right? Because all it has to do is just pass through the value filter. Doesn't match the values of Tacticon.
Nope.
Gone. Yep. We don't fucking do it. It's that easy. No anxiety. Right? There goes all the anxiety in business. Does this pass through my value filter?
Right.
I am trying to do this thing. If it doesn't accomplish that thing, I don't fucking do it.
Out it goes.
Bye. Right? The decisions that we make as far as like, what options do we have? Lack of options, feeling hopeless, right? Well, with enough experience and carrying people around you, which we have around here, I never lack decision. I always know the right answer because I maintain a relationship with mentors. I read the books. They could be digital mentors, right? It doesn't matter.
Right.
I have people close to me in my life that I respect and I love that can give me guidance. And when you have those types of things and you put those people in your life because you go out and you have the hard conversations saying, I can't, you can you help me?
Right.
Then the hopelessness stops and the depression is less, right? It subsides, right? Your depression subsides because, again, going back to that initial depression, lack of options,
right?
Anxiety, too many options. The value allows you to eliminate those. The people and the mentors that you surround yourself will eliminate the lack of options and the hopelessness.
Yeah. And, segueing with the values, I think that's a core root to being a good man and being a stoic. Segue. Is...
I don't want to go into Stoicism yet.
Okay.
Because I want to drive the point home. Drive it home. That physical fitness is 100%.
It's the starting
point for anybody getting into a mental health journey.
Yes.
Eating right, treating your body right, putting the right things in your body.
Yep. Absolutely.
It is hands down.
Cut out soda. Start drinking water.
Stop drinking alcohol or drink moderately.
Yeah. Stop eating chips. Start eating veggies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just start the process. Just do it.
I'm going to say something that is going to really offend some motherfuckers out there, and I am okay with that because I hope it hurts your fucking feelings enough to change.
Good.
When I meet people who say they can do something for me, I don't care if it's a salesman, if it's salesman, it could be a salesperson, it could be an employee that we hire, and they're sitting in front of me and saying, my biggest, blah, 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 asset is that I care about the company. Or they're trying to sell me something and say, I really care about you and where you're going. Bullshit, dude.
Yeah.
You're 300 pounds overweight. You don't even care about yourself.
Right.
How the fuck are you going to care about anybody? Is anybody going to believe that you care about them if you don't care about yourself?
Right.
Your kid's going to look up to you. Is your wife going to look up to you? If you don't care about you, and I'm not talking about the way you look. You don't have to be pretty. You don't have to be good looking.
No, just your health.
But if you are unhealthy and you're wheezing when you walk upstairs and you can barely fucking move and you can't do X, Y, or Z and you're overweight, do you genuinely care about people like you say you do?
Right.
Because you don't even care about yourself. And I am speaking from experience because when I was grossly overweight, and we could throw up the picture that I have, right, to prove that I was 60 fucking pounds overweight. But when I was in that state, I didn't give a shit about anybody but myself. I told people I did, but I really didn't, because until I cared about me, I couldn't care about thee.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, that's a perfect, that's the weird duality of sometimes you have to do things for other people, but you can't do things for other people until you start doing it for yourself.
Put your own oxygen mask off first in the plane, right?
Right.
That's exactly what they tell you to do in the airplane. They're like,
you have to put it on first.
And then help your kid.
And then help your kid.
Because if you're dead,
your kid's dead. It really is, man.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about that starting point.
Yeah.
It's 1% a day, guys. It is 1% per day.
Dude, it is.
Do 10 push-ups right now.
Yeah.
Then tomorrow, do 11.
Yeah.
Or do 10 for this entire week. And then next week, do 11.
Yeah.
It's that 1% growth. It is that continual growth towards the goal of the future. You don't go from 1 to 100 like a Tesla.
Yeah.
We're not battery powered.
Right.
We're machines.
I'll tell you right now, when I first started working out, seriously, I would do 2.5 hours in the gym. I would burn out and not work out for a couple of weeks.
Yep.
The only way that I can even maintain any sort of consistent workout routine now, and this is me, like technically if I wanted to, I could work out all day, every day. Right? I own the company. I could separate myself from work. I could live in the gym. If I wanted to, I could do that.
Right.
But I don't. The only time I can actually work out consistently is when I say, you know what? I'm going to work out for 20 minutes a day. I'm going to do it really hard. Right. And if you're wondering like, well, I don't know how much time I'm going to be able to have. Maybe I'm going to get exhausted too soon. Look, 5 minutes. Tell yourself you're going to go to the gym and work out for 5 minutes.
Right.
I've done that before.
Oh, yeah.
Well, look, I'm just going to do a 5-minute workout. And I promise you, almost every time, especially when I don't feel like it, I'm like, I'm going to work out for 5 fucking minutes. And it always turns into 25.
Right.
35, 45 minutes of working out. Because once you start, you're like, all right, this ain't so bad.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
Yeah, it's the starting. I love that adage of 1% per day.
Yeah.
Because
thank you, Atomic Habits.
300, Atomic Habit. It's Atomic Habits.
The book, Atomic Habits.
365% better by the end of the year.
Yep.
Right? You've done it that much more.
Correct. And I love that aspect of just like that 5 minutes, right? Where was I going with this? I lost my train of thought. Damn it.
Have you been doing drugs?
Probably. Yep. Nope. It's gone. Yep. Continuing on.
So it'll come to you.
Yep.
What I will say is you start with the physical, then it assists you in working into the mental. You take a look in the mirror, you like what you see, you're physically fit. I don't think I've ever, it's hard to, some of the happiest times in my life was when I was at my ideal body weight. Straight up. When I was like, man, I'm like running, 12 to 15%. I don't get crazy and run 5 to 10% body fat. But if I'm like 12%, 15% body fat, looking pretty good, got a 6-pack going, you can't look at yourself and go, man, I'm a piece of shit.
I found it.
You got it.
It came to me.
You got it. Yes.
For those out there, compare yourself to others in a realistic scenario. I was listening to Tom Platz. He's a bodybuilder from the 80s, worked out with Arnold. craziest legs you'll ever see on a human being ever. Yeah. Thank you, drugs. But here's the deal. He was talking about how he would go to Gold's Gym and he would work out like Arnold. He would work out the same amount as Arnold, right? And he started to shrink. He started to get fat. And then he realized he couldn't work out like Arnold. He had to work out maybe 3 days in a row and take a day off.
Okay.
Compare yourselves to others in a way to build yourself up.
Yeah.
Never as a way of, I have to live like them to be like them. Right? Because
emulate.
Emulate, yes.
Emulate. Yeah. Don't imitate.
Beg, borrow, and steal from everyone.
Yep.
Learn from everyone. And look like Arnold, right? He's the most famous bodybuilder of all time. Look at his workouts. Sure, do some of his exercises, but don't look at his workout routine and go, this is the only way that I can ever get fit.
Yeah.
Don't do that with social media people. Don't do that. Maybe you see somebody on social media and they've got a Ferrari. And you're like, that'd be nice. Don't look at yourself without a Ferrari and go, I am less than of a person because I don't have it.
Yeah.
Maybe look at them and go, I'm going to have that one day. I'm going to build towards that.
Right.
But never look at it in a way of, because I don't have this, I can't do it.
Yep.
And find what works for you is the real point of that whole thing.
Yeah.
Which is learn from everyone and figure out what works the best for you and then push yourself.
You want to talk about social media and depression? Like that's what it is, right? Like everybody, I have this, my life is perfect. Everything's beautiful.
My $45,000 nods.
Is everybody a fucking millionaire on social media, by the way?
Yes. Honestly,
I look at everybody's fucking house and they're like walking around. They're like, this is my organizer in my kitchen drawer, but this isn't my real kitchen. This is the butler's kitchen inside of this massive mansion. Like, where the fuck are you? And why are there so many of you?
Right.
Is everybody a fucking millionaire nowadays?
It's the Matrix.
Even having success in my own life, I can get on there and go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like I work my ass off. I don't have a quarter of the shit these people have.
Right. Well, that
what
was
are you doing? Like, why? And it builds this like frustration in me and this self-pity, which is like the worst. Because I'm like,
killer.
God, why don't I have it? What's wrong with me?
What's wrong with me? Yeah. It's like that story that I told you. I got on social media one day. I was scrolling. I found this attractive female. She's 19 years old, right? And I'm like, okay, this is a good looking girl. Then I looked at her bio and it said, Guinness record of most country traveled by 18 years old. And she had been to like almost every country in the world that wouldn't like kill her.
Yeah.
And I looked at that and I said, I'm like 25 at the time, I think. And I'm like,
and then you
what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
I'm like,
that's what you see on social media. Up. That is the first thought that genuinely comes in when you, at least when I look at things.
Right. Because I
look
like
at myself
travel.
and I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah,
why am I
doing
such a piece of shit? Why don't I have those things? And that's the problem with fucking social media. And when I was in Afghanistan and you could see that the happiness of the people who live there that didn't have anything. It's a third world country, no running water, no electricity, with the exception of generators that they have inside of small communities. So you ask, I remember talking to my interpreter about that, and I remember telling you about that. And there's two stories that I'll have kind of right along this path, which is why are they so happy?
Right.
They don't have shit. This is a war-torn country. And they're like, they have each other. And they don't have anything to compare it to.
Right.
Because they don't have the internet.
They all have the same thing.
They're not on social media seeing what you're driving. And they're not. Think about it like this. When you get a vehicle, let's say you buy a really nice car, right? And we live in America. So another really nice car is bound to pull up next to you that's probably nicer than yours.
I just drove past a GTR today.
So you think about it like this. We're in a society where there is so much disparity between all of us. Now, I will preface with I am not a proponent for socialism, capitalism all the way. I think it is the only way.
Yeah.
But the cause for a lot of the depression is, damn, I worked my whole life to buy this Ferrari F430.
Right.
And then you get it. And then this fucking 488 GTB pulls up next to you and shits on you. And you're like, fuck, I suck. But you can choose to, you cannot leave this environment. You can go to a third world country and just be the fucking same as everybody else and then be happy like they are if you want to. Or you can look at that 488 GTB when you're sitting next to it. If we're using the car analogy, I just got this, 10-year-old Ferrari and I'm fucking feeling real good. And then that guy shits on you and say, I suck. I need to do better. And here's how I'm going to do it. Or you can go, fuck, I suck. I'm not good enough. I'm never going to be able to get that.
Right.
And those are two different, that's the fork in the road, right? That's your fork in the road.
That's your mental fork.
It is the mental fork in the road between depression and hopelessness and hope.
Right.
I can do that too. He's not any better or smarter than me. I have the same opportunity. And the second anybody is fucking born in this country with 46 chromosomes, given a fair shake at fucking, and I'm being serious about that. So long as
you only have 46.
So long as we are born in the United States of America as a man or a woman, we are given the same opportunity as the guy to your left and your fucking right.
Right.
Fundamentally, again, we're getting into a dangerous road because people are going to be like, well, some people have better education and some people, dude, we all have the same fucking education. Let me tell you why. It's because we all have internet access.
Right.
And if you genuinely wanted to, you could outlearn and outperform everybody that has the private school.
Goodwill Hunting.
There you go.
What you learned in 4 years of university, I learned with a $10 library card.
Right.
Yep.
Straight up.
We all have the ability. We all have the opportunity. It's how you grasp it. And what I want to put in there on that mental fork is it's not only a huge problem with the mental health thing, is looking at it monetarily and materialistically. Mm-hmm. And you see that new car, you see that better vehicle, you see that better house, and you go, oh, I want that.
Yeah.
Or you could just go, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could, that's the other.
That's the third fork.
Yeah. Well, it could be, you could just not let it bother you and have that go into, you could just say, look, what that guy has nothing to do with me.
Right.
And it's outside of my control
right.
on whether or not he's driving it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't affect me.
That is
and
cool.
that goes right into Stoicism. But
wait, there's
before
more.
We go into Stoicism, I have to talk about a second story that this is something else that happened in my life that
You're
relates to social
on Stoicism right now, dude.
I know, just stoking schism.
Yep.
Stoking the schism.
Stoking the tism.
Stoking the schism or the tism. I remember my wife was she's on social media, mm-hmm. right? Obviously. She's on the Facebook.
Who isn't? Yeah.
Right? And she's and she would put things in front of me to kind of compare my relationship with hers.
Oh God, that's the worst.
To other people's, right? And the thought was, and this is nothing against her, this is just human behavior.
It's what we do as humans.
It's what we do as humans.
We see something we don't have and we want it.
Yeah. And I think until we've had the conversations about it, I don't think she really saw through the way that I was looking at it, at least, because she would come to me and she would go, look, our neighbor Randy down the street is, look at this post. And it was Randy, right? Got my wife tickets to Maui for 3 weeks just because it's a Tuesday. And I'm like, fuck you, Randy, because you've been banging your nanny for the last 2 years. And I know your wife just found out about it, and that's why you got tickets to Maui. But it's how you relate that to the people on the internet.
Yes.
He's not going to say that.
No.
He's going to be like, just because it's a Tuesday, got her tickets to Maui. You're banging your fucking nanny. It's not fair, dude. And you're never going to post that. They're posting the top 1% of their life.
Right.
And we all have to be aware that anybody that posts anything, usually 99% of the time, I
would say
people are posting the top 1% of their life.
Yep.
And it's only people that are genuinely honest out there or looking for attention and sometimes seeking the false attention that are posting, oh, my day sucks and I'm just so depressed and will people just comment and make me feel better? Sometimes that's their way of reaching out. Sometimes that's better than nothing. But I can assure you this, if everybody's life is fucking perfect on social media, it's because that's the way they wanted you to see it.
Correct.
Period. Don't be mad that, half the shit you see, and it's the same thing when I get mad about everybody's a millionaire.
Yeah.
Half that shit's rented.
Yeah.
Like there are businesses that rent their jets out for photo shoots.
Yes.
I looked into this.
Well, it's yeah.
People have, there's two ways to make money on your jet, right? It's to lease it,
yep.
right? To lease your jet out so that somebody can take that private jet and go somewhere. Or it's for it never to leave the tarmac and get influencers out and sit in it and be like, oh, so my new business venture.
Or they're walking up the steps flying to Belize for the weekend.
Yeah,
it's like, no, you're not.
No, you're not. You just rented it and you're saying that you're doing it. That is just common nature. It's very typical right now.
Yeah.
Right. And so don't believe everything you
correct. What you see on social media is what people want you to see. Remember that. Like if you were to post, do you have the control over it? Do you have the power, or does somebody else do it?
Yeah.
Exactly. Boom. There it is. There's the answer.
Yeah. If I got a bad case of hemorrhoids, I'm not telling you about it.
Yeah.
I'm not like, dude, I got the worst looking hemorrhoids. I could barely sit down.
And somebody just snaps it and puts it on your own Instagram.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not going to share that.
No.
You know, but I am going to, you know, if something cool happens in my life and I want you to be envious of it, then yeah, maybe that goes on social media.
Right.
I want you to see my beautiful family.
Right.
And so I put my beautiful family on social media. And I will. I will put my beautiful family on there and say, look how beautiful my family is. You know, but I'm not going to put, my daughter took a shit in her room one time when she was really young.
Yeah.
Right, baby.
You're not putting
and then
that.
smeared it all over the walls.
Yeah.
I'm not like, hey, my daughter's me. Well,
some people
I don't know. If I had the opportunity to actually take pictures of that, I probably would have done that. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Right? But you're not televising a fight with your wife.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people do, and that's weird. But that's the attention seeking.
It's the attention seeking.
Right. And but Carly would do the same thing to me, right? She would see these people on social media, see these couples that are traveling all the time, or see these couples that are doing all this fun stuff together. Yeah. She's like, why aren't we doing this? And I'm like, because I'm a human being. Yeah. I'm not fake. Because the overwhelming majority of people are unable to do that. Yeah. Right now, at least. Yeah. That's just the way it is. Like we can't travel to a new country every week.
Accepting the fact that they don't, that the happiness in other people's lives should not affect our own. No. And that leads into Stoicism.
Stoking the tism.
Stoicism is incredible. I mean, before I went on my journey of trying to find my purpose in like a higher power to relieve the obsession of alcoholism that I had, I started with Stoicism.
Well, it's the stepping stones, right?
Yeah, it really
First, you start with the physical, and then you build the mental, and then you build the spirit.
Yep. It becomes metaphysical.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And Stoicism, if I were to sum it up in one sentence, this is difficult to do because explaining anything, you really have to know something and how it works and the fundamentals of it if you want to explain it to a 5-year-old, right?
Yep.
For me, if I were to distill it down into one sentence, it is accepting the things you can't control and controlling the things that you can.
That's good. I like that.
It all kind of everything kind of precipitates out of there's a bunch of different facets and roads you can go down in Stoicism, but it's ultimately about being honest with who we are, holding ourselves accountable, controlling the things that we can control, and understanding the things that we can't.
Right.
And that is, it really is. And in fact, I think, man, does the book open up? I think the book opens up on the Serenity Prayer.
Well, I like how you put that, and it goes back into the topic we had a while back on a few podcasts ago. I can't remember which one it was, but how we were talking about being a good man.
Right.
And it's kind of that being strong, being honorable, and being humble.
Right.
Right. And I think to a non-5-year-old, I think the 4 virtues sum it up pretty well as well, which is wisdom, temperance, justice, and courage. Those are the four virtues of Stoicism. Yeah. And I think that those are incredibly important to everyone on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The first, so if you guys don't have this book, get it. You can
get it.
Seriously, it really is. It's fantastic. You can get the audiobook if you want.
You can get the app.
Or get the app. I mean, I have the Daily Stoic app. It's incredible, and it's 366 meditations on wisdom, perseverance, and the art of living. And it is not, look, a philosophy is meant to be lived. It is not meant to be It's kind of counterintuitive because we think, well, philosophy, it's just we sit here and we pontificate on these amazing ways to live our life. Nothing matters. You could sit there in your own self, in your own meditation, or in your own group of people who are attempting to do the same thing and get really spiritual and connected with who you are and how you need to be. But nothing fucking matters until you get out there and actually act like it.
Until you change it.
Until you actually contribute to society in that matter. The first entry in the Daily Stoic is about control and choice. It's the chief task in life is simply this, to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals that are not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Where then do I look for good and evil, not to uncontrollable externals, but within myself, to the choices that are my own? And that was Epictetus. And the three guys that are in this book that all of these excerpts are from, the way that the book works is it'll take a chunk or a quote out of their writings, and whether it's Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, or Seneca, those
and
are the three that
upon it.
Yeah, and then they dish that at the front, and then the author expounds upon it in here. And even the single most important practice in Stoic philosophy is differentiating between what we can change and what we can't, what we have influence over and what we do not. A flight is delayed because of the weather. No amount of yelling at the airline representative will end a storm. No amount of wishing will make you taller or shorter or born in a different country. No amount of how hard you try, you can't make someone like you. And on top of that, time spent hurling yourself at these immovable objects is time not spent on the things we can change.
Yes.
It is the opportunity cost of being able, for you economists out there, right? It is the opportunity cost of doing the things, of spending the time on the things that we can't change. How many times do we wallow around in our thoughts, in the self-pity? I wish I wouldn't have done this. It's fucking done.
It's done.
Dude.
It's over.
It's behind you.
Yep.
It exists. The thing happened.
You cannot change it.
You can only change right now. It is, if this is in the forefront of your mind, and that's why they call it the Daily Stoic, because I swear to God, sometimes I go to bed and I forget, and I wake up and I'm like, why is my life not the same? Right. It's because I did not circle back to the same principles which have made my life different in the first place. I swear to God, I go to bed and I forget everything. It really happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Some days I wake up and I'm like, man, I'm feeling really good. Maybe it's because I did all the same shit. And I'm not talking about a fucking morning routine.
Yeah.
Squeeze your lemon in an 8-ounce glass of water. Meditate for 5 minutes. Fuck that shit, dude.
Squeeze your butt
do
cheeks
what
while
works.
focusing.
Yeah. Do what. I am not I'm not saying don't do a morning routine.
Morning routines are great.
They're great, and I'm sure they're amazing for people. For me, my mornings are fucking chaos.
Well, you got kids.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. So I'm like,
morning routines go out the window.
Yeah. And so here it is again, right? And I'll keep reading on this one because it's important. The Recover community practices something called the Serenity Prayer. Yeah, it was in the very front of this book. Yep. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, the wisdom to know the difference. Addicts cannot change the abuse you suffered in childhood. You cannot change, right, the trauma that happened to you in combat. You cannot undo the choices that you made or the hurt that you've caused. But you can change the future, and through the power that they have in the present moment, as Epictetus said, they can control the choices they make right now. It's the only power that anybody has is the power that you have right now, right? The same is true for us today. We can focus on the clear parts of our day within our control and the parts that we cannot. And knowing what we can't control is just as important as knowing what we can control. I've talked a lot, so I will hand the floor to you. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, and I really like that point because I feel like what a lot of people focus on is how other people view them, right? I feel like that is something that eats away at a lot of people is how they are perceived.
Yeah.
And you can never change someone's opinion of you. You can only change how you act, and based on your actions is how someone will view you.
Yeah.
And regardless of if you're the best person on the planet, someone's still going to hate you.
Yeah.
You're going to be the bad guy in someone's story no matter what. So be the good guy in your story.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true.
Yep.
That's very true.
Don't cloud your judgment, right? Don't lie to yourself. That's one of the biggest things about being able to be a Stoic and being able to sit with yourself and not lie to yourself.
Can I stop you? Because you just got done talking about don't worry about what people say about you on social media. Stop thinking about what people think about you. Mm-hmm. And today's reading in the Stoic is a garden is not for show. It's Epictetus again.
Yep. This is a great quote.
First practice, not letting people know who you are. Keep your philosophy to yourself for a bit. In just the manner that fruit is produced, the seed is buried for a season, hidden, growing gradually that it may come to full maturity. But if the grain sprouts before the stalk is fully developed, it will never ripen. That is the kind of plant you are, displaying fruit too soon, and the winter will kill you, right? And after all that you've read when he goes into explain it, it might be tempting to think that this stuff is great. I get it. I'm a Stoic, but it's not that easy. Just because you agree with the philosophy doesn't mean the roots have fully taken hold in your mind, which is exactly what we were talking about. You gotta practice this, man. It is all, and practice means like every day, all day. Fooling with books so you can sound smart or have an intimidating library is like tending to a garden to impress your neighbors. Growing one to feed a family, that's pure and profitable. That's a pure and profitable use of your time.
Right.
The seeds of Stoicism are long underground. Do the work required to nurture and tend to them.
Right.
It's great advice.
It's not doing something for somebody else. It's doing it for yourself. And like how you said, you do it every day, all day. That's real. It's you read a quote, right? Let's say you take one quote a day, 1% method, right?
Yep.
Think about that quote all day and how that relates to your life. It's not a read it. Oh, is this affecting me right now? Nope. Gone.
Right.
No. Take that and in everything that you do that day, examine it. Just be like, oh, does that live up to this value? Oh, does that actually do this? Am I doing something wrong here?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an all day thing.
So another thing that has kind of like quelled the anxiety that I've had through, whatever scenario that I'm in, really, if I'm feeling anxious, is really addressing the problem and looking at it from all angles and understanding exactly what we're talking about, which is this has helped me immensely. And I do this all the time because the bigger this company gets, the worse shit happens and the more money costs. Mm-hmm. Or the more things cost, the more mistakes cost.
Yeah.
Right? I have to be pragmatic. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here right now.
You lose your mind.
I'm telling you right now, I'd be in a fucking loony bin. You're really like some of the problems are atrocious. Like there are mistakes in this business that have been made that cost $500,000, straight up.
More
$600,000-$700,000.
Yeah,
I mean incredible amounts of money. Things that have cost people like the ability to get raises and have a better life. The ability for me to wonder, man, is this going to continue? Like, am I going to be able to support 36 employees? Am I going to be able to, dude, I can't even tell you. But what I do is I look at a situation objectively and say, what about this can I control? What can I learn from it? And how can I take this situation and never have it happen again? Can I control that? I couldn't control these things. I couldn't. And sometimes it just makes you feel better knowing that the thing that happened to you in your life, you actually couldn't have done something about.
Right.
Sometimes things are completely outside of your control. Yeah, there is the thing is like, man, if I, and I'm not saying this happened, but I'm giving a hypothetical. Oh man, if I just paid enough attention to my wife, maybe she wouldn't have cheated on me. Right. Of course, you're going to beat yourself up about that. Right. Or you're going to be angry at your wife and consider it her fault. Right. The better way to look at that is if I hadn't, it's obviously the former, right? Mm-hmm. It's not, screw her, she shouldn't have done that. It's, did I give her enough attention on what caused her to go out and step out on the marriage, right? But where Stoicism comes into play is, look, I could have done something about that and I didn't, but here's what I can do about it now.
Right.
I have choices that I have to make. These are the things that I can control in this situation. And there are also other decisions that I can make that could put me in prison for the rest of my life, and we know what those are, right? So those decisions have to be made practically and pragmatically, and they can really pull you out of a dark depression because it gives you decisions. Stoicism will always give you the decision. What can I do to fix this?
Right.
And if there's nothing, then move the fuck on.
Right. I was just having this conversation with my chiropractor, actually. We were talking about his family. He's an older guy. He had a wife and kids, and they ended up getting divorced, and he's with a new wife now. But we were talking about his kids and how his kids don't really talk to him. And, he started getting a little sad, and he was like, I think back all the time of what I could have done differently. And I was like, I get that. But what's important is what you do the next time around because it's happened, right?
Yeah.
It all comes back down to you can't change it. Learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's super important. There was another passage in here. One of my other favorite ones is on February 7th is a really good one in here, and it's many are harmed by fear itself, and many have come to their fate while dreading fate.
Oh, that's so good.
And that was Seneca.
Yeah,
yeah. It's the shit that you think is gonna get you in a bad position is the fact that you're thinking about the shit
that's going to get
you in the bad position.
Right.
And that's why I was like, yeah, we could sit here and pontificate on things, but like we have to be aware of this. That was what the other reading was, which was the seed is deep underground, right? It's what we do about it That's the plant. That's the plant that flourishes in the sunlight. You know, that's the plant that bears the fruit, is what we're going to do about it. So if we don't genuinely understand, not getting too philosophical here, but we have to understand that there's nothing to fear but fear itself.
Right.
But if you dive into that, it is so much deeper. I think people just kind of like say it, but they don't truly understand the meaning. It's because actions predicated on fear will drive the things to happen that you're afraid of.
Right. And I shared this quote with you when we had one of those crazy events going on.
Yeah.
Which was from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which is basically exactly what Seneca said, which is this guy's facing this problem. And character 2 says, aren't you afraid? Aren't you worried? Character 1 goes, I never worry because I'll only suffer twice.
Right. That's
right.
True.
Like, what's the point sitting there stewing on it and being afraid and wallowing in this self-pity or this doubt and this fear? Because if it happens, then you spent a day, 2 days, 30 minutes, a week, a month, however long it was, worrying about the thing that was going to happen, and then it happened anyways.
Yeah. I tell you, I follow that Alex Morosi guy all the time.
Yeah.
I love that dude, right? He's except for the nose strip. I don't know. That's his thing. Whatever. Yeah. If you want a nose strip on it, you can have a nose strip on it. Yeah. Anyway.
His legs are bigger than mine, so I guess I can't make fun of it.
Yeah, and he makes, way more money than any of us, and he's got a great relationship with his wife. So
he's for sure on TRT, though.
Yeah. But one really interesting thing I heard him say one time was somebody said, well, how do you feel when this happens? Does it make you sad or worried? Or how do you feel? Does this make you happy when this happens? And his response was, I don't really get happy or sad. And at first I was like, bullshit. Everybody gets happy or sad, right? But his theory was, it's relative, and it's a thing that happened. It didn't make me happy. I can choose to still be happy if a thing happened. I get to choose that. I get to choose whether or not I am in a good mood or not.
Right.
That thing doesn't make me choose. And he had a way more eloquent way of saying it. But from what I took, and I'll paraphrase from it, is, look, it's a thing that happened. It's an event, right? It is not going to control the way that I feel, right? I control the way I feel.
Right.
Because we're human. We are given that gift to be able to genuinely control how we feel.
And to prove that point even further, there are monks who have been able to sit down and light themselves on fire and not make a sound.
The human mind is a powerful.
It's a powerhouse.
Thing. It is a powerhouse. I think we are only using a very, very small percentage.
Oh, well, I mean, just look at placebo studies, right? That alone is nuts. Placebo studies, for those who don't know, is where a pharmaceutical company generally will take 2 groups of people. They will give group A a placebo, so a sugar pill essentially.
Yep,
and they will take group B and they will give them the pill. And so what will happen is they examine both and how each one happens. And honestly, a lot of the time, the placebo group ends up getting just as good, if not better, results than the actual case study group. And the reason is because if you think you have cancer and you dig yourself that hole and you dive into your brain and you're telling yourself, I'm unhealthy, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
You're going to be unhealthy and you're going to die. Whether you could eat good, you can exercise, and you can, do all the right things, drink water all the time.
Yep.
But if you tell yourself you're unhealthy and you're going to die, you're probably going to be unhealthy and die.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whether you can or whether you can't, you're usually right.
Yep.
And walk into the gym and go, I suck. I can't lift heavy weight and I'm going to get gassed after 5 minutes. Guess what? You're going to suck. You're not going to lift heavy weight. You're going to get gassed after 5 minutes. If you're like, I just can't eat healthy food, you're going to fucking not eat healthy food, dude. You're not going to eat
healthy food.
You're going to go straight to fucking McDonald's and eat the McDonald's.
Right.
It is just the way we're wired.
Oh, I can't afford that. Oh, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. Stop it.
I think one really important thing to talk about with that placebo, with a lot of those placebo studies, and one of the very interesting things that I've observed in those is sometimes they will take the control group and they will actually not even tell them what they're doing.
Right.
Or I'm sorry, the non-control group, the ones that are actually getting the medication, right? The real medication. They won't tell them what it's about. They won't say, hey, this alleviates anxiety or this does something completely different than what they are going to tell them it's going to do. And the people getting the sugar pill, the thing that doesn't do anything at all, will actually have more success than the thing that the people with the pill is trying to do.
Right.
because they were aware of what this thing is trying to do, and this is going to make you happier.
Right.
Oh, okay, so it's supposed to make me happier. And so they're telling themselves, I am supposed to be happy right now because this pill is making me happy, where these guys over here just said, this is a blood pressure medication.
Yep.
Right? Did you notice anything in this control, in your control group? And they'll say, not really.
Yeah.
Right. Most of them will come through and say, I didn't notice anything,
Different.
I noticed that I probably, I felt like my blood pressure was better. It's not a blood pressure medication though.
Yeah.
Right. It's supposed to make
the power of the mind.
It's the power of the mind. Right. So, that being said, it really comes down to, acknowledging what we can and can't take care of in our lives. And because there's just nothing more burdensome than being in a situation that you feel completely out of control on. But the reality is we can control every situation because we can control how we react to that situation.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
until I came to the realization of that, and the thing is it's cathartic talking about it, right? I'm not perfect at this. I'm nowhere even fucking near it.
Oh, by no means.
Us being able to have this conversation right now, I remind myself that these are the behaviors that I need to continue making.
Right. And that's the thing too, to those out there listening, you don't need 10, 20, 30 people. You need one to start.
What do you mean?
To get going on this. You need one person who you can bounce this off of.
Yeah.
Who you can sit down and be like, where am I messing up?
Yeah.
Where are you messing up?
That's right.
How can we be better? You don't need a village.
No. You
just need one person. And sometimes you can be that person.
Yeah.
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 Sometimes a mirror can be that person for you.
I think I've genuinely felt that, and I want to reinforce something that we just talked about of the whether you think you can or whether you think you can, you're usually right. There's a lot of power that goes into that. And people have written books on it and they have entire courses on it because that fundamental principle is so powerful. And the book is called like The Secret or something. It's you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Oprah's book?
It's
Manifest Destiny.
Manifest Destiny, right?
It's The Secret.
There are so many like little spin-offs and branches of it, and then people geek out on it and they write books on it. But the core principle, I'm not here advocating Oprah's book. I don't even know who's fucking put that.
I don't even know if it's Oprah's book.
I haven't read it. Or I've read parts. I did actually read. I read part of it on a plane, I believe. But when you distill it down, it's just them saying the same thing over and over and over again, which is, if you believe that you are, you will be it.
Yeah.
If you walk into a room, I'll give you a really good
Dress for success.
Don't ever say that again. Dress for the job you want, not the job you have. No, we're not giving out dumbass advice like that. I love you.
I know it was stupid. That's why I said it.
Thank you. But it also there's also some connotation to that, right? There actually is kind of a truth for that, like dress good, feel good. That it really is.
Yeah.
Another really good example. Imagine you were about to make love to your wife, and your wife told you, "You are terrible in bed. You are the worst person I've ever had sex with in my entire life."
This tracks.
Let's go, dude. How do you think you perform? But if she was like, "You were a stud, rock my world," right? The difference between...
I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be lovemaking.
Yeah, it's the difference in the performance.
Oh,
by that
massive.
Single line by one of the most important people in your life makes all the difference in the world about what happens next. It's like that one, that belief, that doubt about yourself. You're the same human going into that performance. You're the same person going into the lovemaking session. That's how powerful the mind is.
Right.
We know that you probably won't even be able to, I'm just going to get real graphic here. You probably won't even be able to establish an erection. I don't think I could establish an erection. No. My wife's like, "You were the worst person I've ever made love to. I did blah, 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 blah." Yeah. What am I even doing? I'm just going to
leave.
The mind is a very powerful thing. That's what I'm trying to say. And that it will affect your performance. And so the same thing goes into business.
Right.
Right. You walk yourself into a room, you're like, I can't do this. There's no way I can be able to sell this room. There's no way this business is going to be successful.
Well,
Dude, you are fucked from the start.
Yeah.
You are fucked out the gate.
Well, I mean, it's, even more examples of this back in the editing room.
Yeah.
If we're sitting back there and you're like, "Hey, can you do this? Can you do this effect? Or can you add this to the video?"
Yeah.
I never say, "I can't."
No.
I always go, "I don't know how to. Let me figure it out."
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And because if I say I can't, what's the point?
What's the point?
What's the point?
Yeah. And that's why I feel like it's so important to find mentors. I think mentorship is just some of the most untalked about, unpromoted things that, and really identifying that person is a mentor. Because a lot of people will be like, oh, yeah, I follow this guy on social media. Mm-hmm. Turn him into a mentor, right. Even if you can't meet him.
Right.
If he offers courses and he holds events, go to him. If he writes books, read them. If he makes videos, watch him, right? But ultimately, deep down inside yourself, consider that person a mentor and just know that if that person is doing the things and showing you and proving that he's doing the things that he or she is doing, it provides hope and access to a world that you that wouldn't have normally unveiled itself to you, right? I understood that after I found a certain amount of mentors and they were doing the things that I wanted to do, it didn't matter what it was, being a better father, a better husband, not drinking, or just, owning a business, running a business, how to treat employees. Once I realized, like, man, that guy's got a really good culture. How does he do it? I started geeking out, going down every fucking podcast that I fucking could on that human being, right? Because if that guy has a good culture, he's doing something that
he's doing something right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I need to be able to follow suit.
I really like how you brought it to that, even if you can't talk to him or even if you can't meet him. Right. And the reason I say that is because this is going to sound silly, but one of my first mentors, Goku, Dragon Ball Z. Okay. I'm dead serious though. Okay. But like, I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I looked up to this character in this show and I was like, he is constantly trying to be better. He's trying to be the strongest version of himself. I want to be strong. Right? Okay. I want to be strong like him. I want to be the best.
That's cool.
Right? But then that carries on into adulthood.
Yeah.
And you look at the Hormozis. You look at all these people who are doing something better than you.
Yeah.
And you go, I want to be like that. Look at what they're doing. Do the things you can. Push yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to beat a dead horse.
I will. It's dead. It's dead. You can't feel anything.
But there were a couple suggestions made today. Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
Fantastic book.
Yeah. The Daily Stoic.
The Daily Stoic. Fantastic book. So if you're going to start somewhere, and you guys, I'm telling you, like, if you don't have time to read, dude, you're in a car. Instead, here's some of the things that I do. I just want to leave this podcast with some actionable steps.
Right.
Gotta do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Call to action.
Actionable steps. If you don't have time to go to the gym, do push-ups, do sit-ups.
Right.
Go for a run around the neighborhood, and it doesn't have to be long. Nope. Just fucking start small.
It's something.
Small but consistent. Small but consistent. Okay. Right? If you eat like shit all day, then just start by eating like shit half the day.
Yeah.
Right?
Eat better at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, man. Like, it doesn't have to, just these tiny little small steps, it will change your life. I will look at you with conviction and say it will change your life, starting with your physical fitness.
Yeah.
It changes everything, and then address the harder things, the next step in things. Read. Read.
Spend
Seriously.
less time on social media.
Spend less time on social media, except for the people that you're following that are the mentors on social media.
Right.
Digest only the things. We all want to be entertained, right?
Unfollow people that make you feel shitty about your life.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah. If you're look, if somebody's showing you all the really nice shit that they have and they're not telling you how to get there, get rid of that thing on social media.
Right.
There's no reason for you to be drooling all over somebody's cars, houses, families, relationships, and them not telling you how to get there. The whole point of us doing what we're doing is like, hey, we've done some really cool shit in the firearm community and around the business community.
Here's how we got there.
I want to show you how to get there. And that's why we're also, shameless plug, doing the 2A Pro course, which is going to show people how to build the business and step-by-step fundamentally throughout the entire journey of how I went from serving tables to owning a business, right?
That's pretty cool.
I was working in an office 40 hours a week, doing just office stuff, serving at a restaurant at night, raising a family, right? All of those things, I found the time to do it, and I will show you how to do it. So find the people that are willing to show you how you get there, right?
Yep.
Do not subscribe to the channels that are going to make you feel bad about not having the shit, because they're not going to be like, here's my Ferrari, haha, you don't have one, because they didn't have to say the second half of that sentence.
Right.
They just said, here's my Ferrari. And then they didn't show you how to get one.
Right.
Right. They didn't say, I have this amazing relationship with my wife, traveling around the world. They don't say how they did it. They just show you, here's my amazing relationship with my wife, right? You know, and they're not showing you everything behind the curtain. They're not showing you the arguments.
Yeah.
You know, and it's good to have arguments. It is good to argue with your wife. And that might ruffle some feathers. It's okay, because that means that you're fighting for your relationship, that you're not rolling over and every fucking time something gets easy. Dude, they're like, oh, you know, I love my relationship because it's easy. Then you don't have a good fucking relationship.
Probably not. Yeah.
You don't. Because real people have real issues.
Yeah.
And if you two are just like leaving each other alone and allowing and fuck compromises. I think the point that I'm trying to make with relationships is fuck compromise. Because if my wife would have compromised, she would have compromised with a PTSD-ridden, absent, neglectful, overweight, alcoholic husband and father. That would have been the compromise. And I would have been happy because I would have been left alone to do all the things that I wanted to do, which was serve me.
Right.
Right? And I wouldn't care. And then maybe I would have compromised. Maybe she would have stepped out on the marriage.
Yep.
She didn't. I'll make that clear. But maybe she would have. Right? And then I would have... I don't think she's got a bone in her body to do that. She would have left me.
I thought you said a boner in her body.
A boner, no, a bone in her body that would ever do that. But then I would have been, maybe I would have compromised. Maybe I would have been like, well, I kind of got what I want, so she can kind of go out and do that, and you know, everything's fine. Compromise kills people.
It does.
It kills people, and I would have killed myself if anybody had compromised in my life that really cared about me. Yeah. So fuck compromise. Argue if you have to. Yep. Have the hard conversations, because the growth happens on the other end of every fucking difficult conversation that you're ever going to fucking have, period.
Yep. Here's another actionable step. Stop lying to yourself and establish your values.
Yeah.
There it is.
Establish the values. Make it very easy for you to make decisions in your life. Because if you say, look, I won't compromise on these things, again, talking about compromise, saying like, these things are important to me. And if it doesn't align with my Christian faith, or maybe it's not Christian faith, maybe it's just, you know, loyalty. Maybe honesty is the issue. If it's not honest, I'm not going to do it. Right. It's got to pass through the filter. Dude, it makes so easy to make decisions. Is what I'm doing honest? No? Yeah. Then I'm not going to fucking do it.
Okay. Easy. Bum.
Right?
Done.
If you establish that and you revisit it every day when you read the Daily Stoic, then it's going to be fine. If you don't have time to read the books, Audible, man. I'm an audiobook geek. Instead of oftentimes listening to me, that's a tough one, man.
I'm perturbed.
What?
I'm perturbed, and I want to talk about that for 1 second.
Okay, go ahead.
You always have the time. It's whether you make the time.
That's right.
Always have the time.
Right.
When you say, I don't have the fucking time, that's a lie to yourself. Everybody has the time. It's whether you make it and whether you do it or not.
Yeah.
Because at the end of your day, there's always an opportunity. Dude. I could spend 15 hours in my office making videos and editing, but when I go home, I have time.
I have lost time feeling bad about my wasted time.
Boom.
I can't tell you, like, I've sat around and come like, man, I wasted so much time today. And then I'll spend 10 minutes fucked off about the time that I wasted. But the meta part about that is that I was wasting time about thinking about wasting time.
Right.
That thing that we just read, which was like the fear, right?
Yeah.
Is the thing
that'll lead you to your fate.
Yeah.
That you fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. So,
I want to leave off.
There's plenty of time. Everybody's got the same fucking 24 hours in every day. Is that not true? Do we not all have the exact same of 24 hours in every day?
Well, except me. So, right? Like, so my first day is from 6 to 12.
Yeah.
And then my second day is from 12 to 6.
Yeah.
I've got 2 days in a day. So
nice. Yeah. I like that.
No, we do. We all have the same 12 hours.
I do not subscribe, you know, sometimes in the beginning of your journey, and you know, because sometimes cutting things out of your life to make more time is a slow roll. It does take a little bit of time to do that. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Because you can't just cut everything off immediately.
This isn't fucking easy, guys.
You have to scale it back.
We're not saying it's easy.
So occasionally, it's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
And so occasionally what will happen is you'll have to, like I legit had to get, you know, 3-4 hours of sleep some nights to do the things that I wanted to do. But hindsight on that, looking back at it, let me make a huge disclaimer on that. I don't think I would do it that way again. Because getting myself, by me getting less sleep, I was less efficient. And what I found was I was actually doing significantly less work every day, even with more time.
Right.
I couldn't focus. I was like, I would get angry faster. I would get worried faster. I mean, sleep is some of the most underrated, most important things.
Amazing.
I hate the guys that are running around like, I get 3 hours of sleep a night. That's how I operate.
Like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm sorry. You're not being more efficient during the day. Sleep is important.
Sleep is super important.
It ties right into physical well-being and mental well-being. Sleep. Don't get 3 or 4 hours of sleep. Looking back, I wish I would have never done it that way. I wish I'd have cut things out of my life. But there may be times where you're like, okay, tonight I have to get this done. And tonight I'm just going to have to get a couple hours less sleep. But man, don't get any less. Just try not to get any less than 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
There is so much that happens in that 5 or 6 hours that is just, I mean, you know, I get my nightly rest, if anybody even cares, is about 6 to 7 hours at minimum. I never get less than 6. I definitely never get more than 8. But it usually teeters between like 6.5, 7 hours is what I try to do.
And one thing that works for me really, really well on cutting things out or making the time for things is knowing you want to do it and set a goal for yourself of saying, I'm going to set a timer for 10, 20 minutes and I'm going to do this thing.
Yeah, until that timer goes off.
I'm just going to do this thing for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Just 20 minutes. Because you don't have to sit down and do it for hours. Yeah. Right? Just like maybe I'm not going to watch TV for 4 hours tonight before I go to bed.
Right.
I'm going to watch it for 3 hours and 40 minutes. And I'm going to take that 20 minutes and do something else.
Yeah.
Right? That's hypothetical.
And you know what's interesting about when you do things like that? Because I've done that exact thing. Is I'm going to put a timer on and I'm going to actually get this thing done for the next 20 minutes. Right? And that's usually the number that I use. Mm-hmm. What I'll find is you get in a workflow where 2 hours have gone by that you've spent on that project,
right?
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Right. You dedicated 20 minutes, but 2 hours actually happened, or an hour and a half, because you kind of get in this state where you're like, man, I'm being productive and I actually don't mind doing what I'm doing right now.
And that's good.
Yeah. That's a good thing. Yeah.
I'm going to sit down. I'm going to practice guitar for 20 minutes. You've been playing for 2 hours. Awesome.
Happens all the time.
It's great.
Happens all the time when I grab the guitar. I'm like, I'm just going to play one song.
Yep.
And then next thing you know, it's an hour into it. And I'm like, damn, dude. Like, feels good. So,
I want to leave off on this. You matter. Just remember that.
Yeah, and really, if anybody needs to reach out, if anybody needs to talk, we're available all the time. Like, if you want to find us and really like get in there and have conversations with us, even voice conversations with us inside the channel, get on the Discord server. It's 2A per Discord server. Link will be in this video, and get on there. You know what I mean? Tell us how you feel. Reach out for help.
Yeah.
Tickle my taint.
Touch my toes.
Touch my toes.
Touch my toes.
And with that,
I bid thee
acquiv.